My own son looked me straight in the face, like I was some stranger on the street, and told me I was a broke old man who needed to stop embarrassing his wife's family. And I swear to you, in that moment, something in me went real quiet. Not angry, not sad, just settled, like a switch flipped from dad to business mode. I'm 61, name's Frank Dawson, and for the better part of 20 years I've been playing a part my boy never once bothered to question, letting him think I was just some busted-up forklift operator who tweaked his back on the job and got stuck on a small pension in a nowhere warehouse, scraping by on coupons and gas points while he climbed his shiny little corporate ladder. What Ethan doesn't know, what he never even tried to know, is that I own the cold storage yards his company ships through, the trucking fleet that drags half their freight up and down the Southeast, and a nice fat slice of the business park where his fancy tech logistics firm has their glass box office with the neon logo and kombucha on tap. Last time my accountant did the math, my net worth was hovering somewhere around 60 million, give or take. Not billionaire private jet rich, but the kind of rich where the lights stay on, the mortgages are paid off, and I can disappear for a month and nobody at the bank calls to check if I'm still breathing. But to my son, I'm just dad with the rusty pickup, the guy with the flip phone, the old man who still pays cash at the gas station and thinks Starbucks is too damn expensive for hot bean water. So when he and his wife sat me down in my own living room and told me I had 30 days to move out of what he called their house, I didn't raise my voice, didn't slam a door, didn't throw him out. I nodded, took a slow sip of iced tea, and made a plan. See, most folks look at me and see exactly what Ethan sees. That old 99 Chevy Silverado with 2 mismatched doors because I bought one off a junkyard truck rather than repaint the whole thing. Work boots that have been resoled so many times the cobbler knows my feet better than the doctor. Walmart jeans, flannel shirts, a gas station ball cap with some random feed store logo, hands that still smell like diesel and coffee after a long day. I show up to family dinners with grocery store flowers that come in plastic, not whatever fancy arrangement Lily posts on Instagram, and I always bring cheap beer, the kind that comes in a cardboard box, not a curated six-pack. And I say dumb, humble things like, hell, I can't tell the difference between a $10 bottle of wine and a $200 one, so don't waste it on me. And Ethan eats that up, makes him feel like he's the successful grown man in the family, makes him feel like he's taking care of his old man. My boy's 33, got his MBA, calls himself a senior account director at some logistics tech startup in Dallas, pulls in around 200 grand a year and acts like he invented money. He wears slim-fit suits and white sneakers that cost more than my first car, talks about equity packages and burn rate and runway like he's on a podcast. His wife, Lily, she's 30, interior designer/content creator, always on her phone, always filming something for the vlog, driving a white Tesla that looks like it's never seen dust, posting day-in-my-life videos where she complains about being so busy while sipping $11 coffee and rearranging throw pillows. She's got opinions on everything from my haircut to my Stone Age flip phone, which, by the way, I keep mostly because people underestimate you when they think you're behind the times. The first little red flag that something was off came last Thanksgiving. We were at my house outside Fort Worth, the place I built from the ground up when Ethan was in high school, brick with a wraparound porch, big yard that runs right down to a creek, oak trees that shade the back in the summer like God's own umbrella. We're eating, everyone's chatting, and I hear Ethan say to Lily's parents, Greg and Marianne, "Yeah, this'll be our base once we have kids. It's such a great family home." And that word "our" lands in my ear like a rock, because far as I knew, I was the one writing the property taxes and changing the air filters. Then I hit the second red flag a few days later when I'm scrolling Instagram on the account I keep mostly to make sure I don't get catfished by anybody, and I see Lily's story. A shot of my living room, my old leather couch, and the wood coffee table I built myself with the caption, "Working on a huge transformation for a dated family property. Some people hate change, but you can't cling to the past forever." The comment section was brutal. "Looks like my grandpa's house. Just rip everything out, sis." Boomer decor strikes again. And then there was this one special gem. "If it's family property, just take it over and give him a small condo. You're upgrading his life." Lily screenshotted that one and DM'd it to Ethan with, "See? People get it." What she forgot was that I follow her, and she never bothered to check that her broke old father-in-law knew how to use the internet. In Lily's world, I was a stubborn relic who lucked into a decent house he didn't really deserve and was too stupid or too sentimental to maximize the asset. In my world, I was starting to see exactly how far the entitlement disease had spread. About 6 weeks after that, they brought Lily's parents over for what they called a little family planning dinner. And the second they walked through my front door, I knew this wasn't dinner. It was an ambush. Greg walked in with that look I've seen on every guy who ever tried to lowball me on a yard lease. Eyes scanning, calculating, already spending money that wasn't his. Mary Ann had that tight little charity lunch smile, the kind that never quite reaches the eyes. They did a slow lap around my place like they were on an episode of some HGTV teardown show. Greg ran his hand over the banister and went, "Roof's probably past due, huh? That AC unit out back? That dinosaur's eating your power bill alive, Frank." Like he was doing me a favor diagnosing problems. Lily stood there with her phone in hand, tapping notes, while Ethan nodded along like an intern listening to the senior partners. And it made my stomach twist, watching my own kid look at my house through the lens of, what can we take from this? Finally, Ethan cleared his throat and started in with his soft voice, the one he uses when he's selling something. "Dad, we've been talking," he said. "Me and Lil really need more space. We want to start trying for a baby in the next couple years. This house is perfect for us. A yard, extra rooms, good schools nearby. It just makes sense." I asked him, as calm as I've ever been in my life, "And where exactly am I supposed to go, son?" You could see the little rehearsal glitch in their heads. They looked at each other like, "Okay, you say it, no, you say it." And then Lily jumped in like she'd been waiting for her cue. "You could move into something more realistic," she said. "Like a small condo in one of the senior-friendly communities. My firm works with a developer that has units starting under 200 grand. Much better match for your situation." That pause before situation felt like a slap. My situation. Greg leaned in with his fake concern, the kind rich men use when they're about to rob you and want you to feel grateful. "Frank, I'll just shoot it straight," he said. "A place like this, out here, you're sitting on what, 700, maybe 800 grand in equity? That's a lot for someone on a fixed income. You could sell, give these two a family discount, and still live comfortably. That's what dads do, right? Help their kids build generational wealth?" The man really said generational wealth like he'd just discovered the phrase on LinkedIn. I smiled, took a sip of my iced tea, and said, "I'll think about it," and they all relaxed like the heist was already done. They had no idea the only thing they'd just done was move themselves from family to problem to be handled. The next morning, at exactly 6:20 a.m., my phone buzzed with an email from Ethan. Subject line: next steps for the house. I sat at the kitchen table, coffee in hand, old dog snoring at my feet, and read my own kid's attempt at a corporate takeover of my life. He laid it out like a work memo. First, I signed the house over to him and Lily. Second, they let me stay in the guest room for up to 2 years while I transition. Third, they'll help with moving costs when I relocate somewhere more appropriate for my income level. He attached a PDF from some lawyer Greg uses full of pretty phrases like ensuring Frank's dignity as he ages in place and protecting the asset for the next generation who can maintain it properly. But the bottom line was simple. They wanted to slowly evict me from a house I paid for in cash and turn my home into a trophy on Lily's Instagram. So I called him. "Ethan, you want to explain this email?" I asked. He sighed that annoyed sigh adult kids do when their parents dare ask questions. "Dad, we've talked about this," he said. "You can't keep up with a place this size. Taxes alone have to be crushing you. Let us shoulder that. You get security, we get room for our future. This is the smart play. Don't make this harder than it needs to be." And then he dropped the line that really set the tone for what was coming. "You're a broke old man hanging on to a house you can't afford. Let us help you before the bank does." I stared at the wall for a beat, then said, "Okay, son, if that's how you feel, I'll handle it." He heard surrender. What I meant was, game on. See, here's the thing. I'm not some hedge fund shark or tech bro with crypto money. I'm a glorified trucker who got very, very good at freight and never forgot where he came from. Back in my 30s, when Ethan was still in school and thought his dad smelled like diesel for fun, I built a small refrigerated trucking company. Started with 5 beat-up trucks, did the ugly runs nobody else wanted, built a reputation for never missing a delivery, and sold that first company for just under $1 million. Instead of going crazy with the money, I bought a rundown cold storage yard that everyone said was a money pit. I turned it around, made it profitable, refinanced, bought another, then another. Fast forward to now, and I own 14 cold storage facilities across 4 states, a mid-sized trucking fleet that runs day and night, and I've got ownership stakes in 3 industrial parks, including the one where my son's company plays startup behind glass walls and neon signs. I keep my name off a lot of things: LLCs, holding companies, trust structures. It's all clean and legal, just quiet. To Ethan, my dad, works at some warehouse, never really understood money. The guy he pats on the shoulder and explains cash flow to like I've never seen an invoice before. To the folks who really know, I'm the guy they call at 2 a.m. when a refrigerated truck breaks down outside Memphis and they need replacement capacity yesterday or they're eating a 7-figure loss. I didn't yell at my son. I didn't send a big emotional text. I made 3 phone calls. First call was to my lawyer, Carla Reyes, a woman who has been quietly saving my ass for 15 years. "Carla, my kid's trying to take my house," I said. She was quiet for a second then. "Okay, you want defense papers or—" "Nah," I said. "I want a trust. Ironclad. House goes into it. I stay in it. They touch nothing unless I die. And even then, I want conditions. They try anything sideways, I want it bouncing off legal concrete." "How fast?" she asked. 48 hours. "Is this gonna get messy, Frank?" she said, but she was already booting up her brain. I could hear it. "Yep," I said. She laughed. "Send me the deed, I'll make it bulletproof." Second call was to Marcus, my CEO, the guy who runs day-to-day at Dawson Cold and Freight so I can pretend to be just some old warehouse hand. Marcus, that office park on Ridgeview where we own building B and C, I said. Where Ethan's company rents half of C? Yeah, he replied. We still thinking about selling C to that Reite that keeps sniffing around? I asked. They've got an offer on my desk right now, he said. Why? Take it. Full asking. I want it closed ASAP. He paused. You sure? You know their whole thing is buy, then jack the rents, squeeze every tenant. I'm aware, I said. Marcus snorted. This about your boy? This is about everybody in my life thinking I'm stupid because I drive an old truck, I told him. Got it, he said. I'll push the deal through. Congrats on cashing out, I guess. Third call was to Dr. Harris, the therapist Ethan and I saw a couple times after his mom passed. Good man, calm voice, knows where all the emotional bodies are buried. Doc, I need you at my house Saturday night, I said. Family thing, I need a neutral witness. Frank, this sounds intense, he said. That's the point, I replied. He sighed, then said, okay, I'll be there. I wasn't just planning revenge. I was planning a reset. Lily decided to host what she called a small celebration at my place that weekend. In reality, it was a flex party. She had her influencer friends, Ethan's co-workers, and her parents' rich buddies rolling up in shiny cars. She brought in a catering crew, rented elegant glassware, ordered wine I can't pronounce, and had a little sign in the kitchen that said, the Collins Dawson Residence. Like my name was just a decorative touch. When I walked through the front door right on time, I wore what I always wear. Same old flannel shirt, grease-stained work boots, faded ball cap, jeans with a little fray at the bottom, and I had a 12-pack of cheap beer tucked under my arm. The music was low, that soft, cool, people hanging out playlist vibe, and the room smelled like truffle something and money. Lily turned around, saw me, and her soul visibly tried to escape her body. Oh, Frank, you made it, she said, eyes darting from my boots to my hat. Did you, want to change? Maybe that blue shirt Ethan bought you? We have, important people here tonight. I'm good, sweetheart, I said, easy. This is what I wear. Ethan came over, jaw tight, already embarrassed. Dad, man, come on, he hissed. You're kind of making it weird. I chuckled. Buddy, I've been weird your whole life, I said. You'll live. The room went a little quieter when I walked through. I'm used to that. I've walked into plenty of rooms where people underestimated me on sight. It's almost fun now. Lily's dad, Greg, waved me over like he was doing charity. Frank, over here, he said. Let me introduce you. This is Caleb, commercial real estate. That's Tom, private equity. And that's Nate, acquisitions for a logistics startup. Big money, guys. They all gave me that polite, limp handshake people use when they assume you're not worth their time, eyes already drifting away. One of them asked, So, Frank, what do you do? I shrugged. Warehouse stuff, I said. Old man work. They smiled like I'd confirmed their whole world view. Lily slid an arm through mine like she was staging a photo. Frank's actually thinking about downsizing, she told them. This place is just too much for one person. We're helping him transition into something that makes more sense for his lifestyle. Greg raised his glass. You're lucky, Frank, he said loudly. Most people your age don't have kids this responsible. I took a sip of my beer and let it roll off. After everyone had enough drinks to soften them up, Greg tapped his glass with his fork. All right, everybody, gather up, he called. Ethan and Lily have some big news. People drifted into the living room, glasses in hand, little smiles ready. Ethan pulled Lily close and smiled for the imaginary camera. "We wanted to share this with the people who matter most," he began, his voice all warm and performative. "Lily and I are ready to start our family, and part of that is taking stewardship of this house so my dad can relax and stop worrying about, money and maintenance." There were cheers, claps, "That's awesome, man," from somewhere in the back. Ethan turned to me for the big finale. "Dad, we've already talked to the attorney, lined everything up," he said. "You won't have to stress about bills anymore. You just sign and let us handle things. It's a win-win." The room actually started clapping like they were witnessing some beautiful generational handoff. I didn't clap. I just looked at him and asked, loud enough for everyone to hear, "Ethan, what makes you so sure I can't afford my own house?" He rolled his eyes a little, playing it off like I was being difficult. "Dad, be serious," he said. "You drive a beater truck. You shop at Dollar General. You're on a pension. Your property taxes have to be what, 10, 12 grand a year? How's that not killing you?" I nodded slowly. "You're right about one thing," I said. "Taxes are around 12 grand. But I'm curious, son. What do you think I actually do for a living?" He shrugged, smirking. "You work at a warehouse," he said. "You never wanted to talk about it. We don't have to make this weird." I pulled my chair out a little, making a small circle of space. "Y'all ever heard of Dawson Cold and Freight?" I asked the group. Nate, the acquisitions guy, straightened like someone had just dropped a live wire. "The cold storage and trucking company," he said. "Based out of Atlanta? Yeah, we've tried to pitch them software. Owner's some ghost dude, hard to get to." I took off my cap and set it on my knee. "Yeah," I said. "That'd be me." The room went dead quiet like someone hit pause. Ethan laughed nervously. "Dad, stop," he said. "That's not funny." So I pulled out my smartphone, not the flip phone they always see, yeah, surprise, I own both, and opened our internal dashboard app. Turned the screen so the big money guys could see. Real-time fleet locations crawling across a map. Warehouse capacities updating live. Today's gross revenue across all facilities rolling like an odometer. Nate stepped closer, squinting. "There's no way you faked that," he muttered. "That's literally their live system. I've seen this in a demo." Greg looked like he'd swallowed a chunk of ice. "You're telling me? You're that Dawson?" he asked. "Yes, sir," I said. "Been that Dawson since '09? Lily's hand flew to her mouth. But you drive that truck," she babbled. "Yeah," I said, "because it still runs." Then, nice and calm, like it was just another Tuesday briefing, I laid it out for them. "I started with 5 trucks and 1 beat-up yard," I said. "I now own 14 facilities, about 120 tractors, 200 trailers, and a decent chunk of the park where Ethan's company leases their office. I paid cash for this house 20 years ago. No mortgage, no loans, no handouts." I pulled up my banking app and flipped through a couple screens. "This is my trust account," I said. "This is my investment portfolio. This is the LLC that owns this property. Y'all were worried about my situation. Figured you deserved some clarity." I wasn't bragging. I wasn't flexing. I was just putting the facts on the table like a bill that's come due. Someone near the back whispered, "Holy shit." Ethan just stared at me like his entire childhood had been a lie, which, to be fair, he'd only seen the parts I let him see. Once everybody had a second for their brains to reboot, I twisted the knife. "Ethan, you know that building your company leases on Ridgeview?" I asked. "The one you bragged about negotiating sweet terms on?" He blinked. "Yeah," he said slowly. What about it? I sold it, I said. His face drained of color. To who? He asked. To a real estate investment firm that loves raising rents, I replied. Closed yesterday, they take over next month? Nate checked his phone, fingers flying. His face went pale. Wait, he said. Is this about Crownstone Capital? They just sent a notice to every tenant in that building. Rent's going up 40%, CAM fees up, plus new charges for parking. He turned to Ethan. Dude, that's your office, right? Greg whipped his head toward me. Frank, you can't just... He started. I can, I said, steady. And I did, right after your brother's law firm sent me those cute little papers trying to shepherd me out of my own house for my dignity. Lily's voice cracked. We were just trying to help, she said. I shook my head. No, honey, I said. You were trying to climb a rung using my house as your ladder and dressed it up as care. That's not help. That's opportunism with a Pinterest board. Then I laid out the rest. The house has already been transferred into the Dawson Family Trust, I said. I'm the sole trustee while I'm alive. Ethan and any future grandkids only see a dime if they meet certain conditions laid out in my will. Conditions you don't know yet because you haven't earned the right to hear them. And as of this morning, the little guest house above the garage, where you two have been temporarily staying while paying $300 a month, also belongs to that trust. Market rent around here is $1,800, by the way. You've been getting a grandparent discount and calling it independence. I pulled a folder from beside my chair and slid a document across the coffee table toward Ethan. This, I said, is your formal 60-day notice to move out of my property. Lily snatched it up with shaking hands, scanning the lines, her eyes darting back and forth. You're evicting us? She said, voice thin. No, I said. I'm setting a boundary. You tried to shove me out of my own home, tried to write my story for me. You forgot I own the pen. Greg puffed up again. This can't be legal, he snapped. I pulled my phone out, hit speaker, and dialed Carla. She picked up on the second ring. Hey, Frank, she said. You want me to explain it? Please do, I said. Got the whole Collins fan club here. Carla, in her calm lawyer voice, walked them through every line. How the trust works, how the notice is valid, how their earlier documents had holes in them big enough to drive one of my trucks through. When she finished, she added, Frank, if they send you any more threatening letters, forward them to me. We'll handle it. I hung up. Half the room suddenly remembered they had somewhere else to be and started slipping out the door, murmuring fake apologies and avoiding eye contact. The rest trickled out in twos and threes until the only people left standing in my living room were me, my son, and his wife, surrounded by half-drunk wine glasses and a cake no one wanted anymore. They didn't say much. Lily wiped under her eyes, Ethan just stared at the floor, and then they left, the door closing soft behind them like the end of a chapter. I went out back, sat on my porch, and watched the sky go from pink to dark. My phone started buzzing nonstop. At first, I ignored it, but after a while, curiosity won. Turned out Lily had gone live on TikTok and Instagram, sitting in their Tesla, mascara smudged, voice shaking, telling her followers, "You guys, my father-in-law isn't some broke old man. He's a multi-millionaire, and we tried to take his house from him, and he basically kicked us out." Someone screen recorded it and tossed it on YouTube with the title, "Influencer tries to kick out secretly rich father-in-law, it backfires hard, and the internet did what the internet does." Comments flooded in. "You tried to rob your own FIL. That man's a legend." Imagine thinking you're the main character and finding out you're the villain. By morning, Lily had lost a noticeable chunk of followers. Brand deals started ghosting her. The relatable luxury queen vibe doesn't land the same once people see you scheming on an old man you thought was broke. Karma. Overnight shipping. 3 days later, Ethan showed up alone in an Uber. No Tesla, no designer coat. Just my kid, standing on the front walk like he did when he was 16 and backed his car into a pole. He came around to the back and sat on the porch step, staring out at the yard. "Dad, can we talk?" he asked. "Sure," I said. We sat in silence for a minute, listening to the creek. "My boss called me in," he said finally. "They're talking layoffs. Our whole office is on thin ice with the rent hike. He asked if I had any undisclosed relationship with the previous landlord." "Did you?" I asked. "No," he said. "Because I never asked what you really did. I just made stuff up in my head." He took a long breath. "I've spent 3 days replaying everything," he said. "Why didn't you tell me who you were? What you had?" I looked at him. At the kid who used to fall asleep on my chest after Little League games, who now talked to me like I was a client he had to manage. "Would it have changed how you treated me?" I asked. He didn't answer right away, and in that silence was every time he'd come by only when he needed something. A loan, help with a car, a place to crash so he could save for a down payment that somehow never materialized. I helped him out. "When's the last time you came over here just to see me?" I asked. "No agenda? No ask? Just to hang out on this porch and talk?" He swallowed. "I don't know," he said. "That's why I didn't tell you," I said. "I wanted to know if my son loved me broke, not just rich." He stared at his shoes. "So this was a test?" he asked. "No," I said. "Life tested you. I just stopped cushioning the fall." 60 days sounds like a long time, until you're staring down the barrel of moving out and rebuilding your life. Over those weeks, they tried all the usual moves, guilt trips, long texts about family and forgiveness, angry messages sent late at night that turned into apologies the next morning. I didn't block them. I didn't fight back. I just stopped feeding the drama. A couple weeks in, Lily posted another video, this time no makeup, hair in a messy bun, sitting on a small couch in what looked like a cramped apartment. "To everyone who followed me, I needed to say this," she said. "I was the kind of person who judged people by cars, houses, brands. My father-in-law lived simple, so I assumed he was broke. I tried to take his house in the name of helping. Turns out, he's the kind of wealthy I wish I'd been learning from instead of trying to impress. I'm not asking for sympathy. I'm saying I was wrong." The comments were kinder that time. People love a redemption arc almost as much as they love a downfall. I watched it once and put my phone down. About a month later, Ethan and Lily came by together. They didn't text first, just showed up. I saw them pull up in a beat-up Toyota Corolla with a dent in the bumper, not a luxury anything in sight. They looked smaller somehow, softer around the edges, like life had sanded off some of the sharpness. Inside, Lily held a folded piece of paper in her hands, fingers worrying the corner. "Frank, I wrote something," she said. "Can I read it?" "Go ahead," I said. Her voice was steady but quiet as she apologized, really apologized, for the house, for the way she'd talked about me online, for treating me like a charity project instead of a human being. She didn't blame Greg, didn't blame social media, didn't blame stress. She owned it. She ended with, "I'm not asking for money. I'm not asking to move back. I'm asking for a chance to become the kind of people you wouldn't be ashamed to introduce as your family." Ethan cleared his throat. "We got a little one-bedroom in Arlington," he said. "$900 a month. I'm working at a smaller company now, starting over. 40-something grand a year. She's selling furniture and doing design out of the apartment. It's humbling. But it's ours. No one's paying our way." I nodded. "You cooking your own meals yet?" I asked. Lily let out a tiny laugh. "Badly," she said. "But yeah." "Good," I said. "Burn a few dinners. Builds character." We ended up in the kitchen together that night, making spaghetti like three rookies. She burned the garlic. He overcooked the pasta. Sauce splattered on the stove. We ate it anyway. No phones, no cameras, no brand deals. Just three people at a wobbly table, passing bread and talking about nothing and everything. When they were leaving, Ethan hugged me. Really hugged me. Not the quick one-armed pat he'd been giving me for years, but a full, tight, I get it now hug. "Thank you," he said into my shoulder. "For what?" I asked. "For not bailing me out this time," he said. "For showing me what I really was, and still giving me a chance to be better." I shrugged. "That's your work now, son," I said. "Not mine." They drove off in that little Corolla, waving out the window, and I sat back down on my porch. Same view I've had for 20 years, same creek, same trees, same sky. My phone buzzed. It was Marcus. "You still want me to keep an eye out for something for Ethan?" he asked. "Entry level? Learn it from the ground up?" I thought about the eviction papers, about the tears, about the burned garlic and that small apartment they were paying for themselves. "Not yet," I said. "If he needs it and asks, we'll talk. Right now he's learning something no job in my company can teach him." "What's that?" Marcus asked. "How to live like a grown man without thinking the world owes him a shortcut," I said. Marcus chuckled. "That's cold, Frank." "Nah," I said. "That's love, just the kind that doesn't come with a check attached. So if you're still here, listening to this whole story, do me a favor. Drop where you're watching from in the comments. Tell me if you'd ride with a dad like Frank, or if you think went too far. And if you've ever had someone judge you by what's in your driveway instead of what's in your chest, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the little bell so you don't miss the next story. Because being rich is about what you own. But being real is about who you are when nobody's paying your way. And that right there is the only inheritance that actually sticks.